Welcome back to The Perspective. I am your host, Ethan Micheal, and alongside me is my co-host, the one and only BrainBug. BrainBug, how's it going?
How's it going? Hello, everybody. Good to be on here tonight. Glad to get back going. We had some interesting calls the last time, and hopefully we'll get some more interesting calls in tonight. Yeah, I'm ready.
We've already got one lined up. I'm pretty excited about that. I have a few other people who said they would like to call as well. One of the things I did want to get into, although I don't want to, keep the caller waiting, is I did want to talk about witches, but I can go into that later. For those just tuning in, this is a weekly broadcast where you are welcome to call us and talk to us about anything supernatural, God, witches, ghosts, and even aliens. Yeah, that's right, aliens. So all you have to do is call the number. It is it is not at the bottom of the screen. I should have had that ready. The number is, give me like 30, 20 seconds.
951-364-2430, or
Thank you for having
951 engage 0.
I usually have it at the bottom of the screen and the banner's not going up. Damn it.
Well, we got I know in the YouTube world, you got it right there with the title of the video. I don't know about on the other streaming services you're using on Facebook. I don't have that pulled up, but that's the number, 951-364-2430. Give us a call if you have a supernatural claim or just want to talk about a supernatural experience. Yeah.
Right. Are you ready to get into our first caller?
Do this.
Awesome. All right. We have Gretchen. Gretchen, you are on with Ethan and BrainBug. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
I'm doing well.
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi. Well, I have had experiences with God since childhood.
What kind of experiences?
Well, when I was 8, I had visions of the Garden of Eden. And my parents were not churchgoers. And we never talked about God. So it's just God's always been a part of my life.
At what age?
But it got 8. I'm sorry.
At what age did
what?
At what age did God...
About 8.
About 8 years old?
Age 8. Yeah, 7 or 8.
And could you give us an example of one of the times you experienced God?
Well, I'll give you the really strange one that happened over the course of like a couple of decades. I'll start with that one.
Sure.
Well, when I was a teenager, I always felt like God was communicating with me. And like one day I was sitting on the floor with my knees bent and like this ghostly tequila worm came out of my left calf. I was like, okay, that's weird.
Did you say a tequila
And that was like
worm?
1985. Yeah, a tequila worm, a ghostly tequila worm came out of my left calf.
So can you just, sorry, I'm a little confused. What do you mean by a ghostly tequila worm?
I was sitting on the floor with my knees bent, and then like I saw this ghostly tequila worm come out of my left calf.
It was burrowed out?
But then it happened again 20 years later, or like in 2002.
Can you, when you say...
But this time, I was sitting on the floor with my knees bent then. I didn't even think about that. Like what happened to me when I was a teenager. But it came back out of my left calf again. But this time it left like a pussy bump that turned into a mole. The first time it didn't leave any marks.
So how do you know it was, like, for example, ghostly and not, actually a bug or, a worm?
If it was actually a bug, I would have felt it. It would have been fleshy. It was gone. There was nothing there.
So it was translucent. When you say ghostly, like you could see through it, or just that it wasn't physical.
I could see it, but it was like a ghost. I saw it and it just disappeared, basically.
And this has happened
But
twice to you?
twice, and the second time it actually left a pussy bump that turned into a mole. The first time it didn't leave any skin lesions, but it did the second time.
So I'm just trying to, so if you could, I'm trying to picture this in my head. You saw something come out of your calf and then it disappeared?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it was a worm.
Worm.
It looked like a tequila worm. So it wasn't like an actual worm. It was like a ghostly worm.
And it just, by the way, I just adjusted my volume. Let me know if that's better, best name. Have you had, did you go to the doctor to get this inspected?
No. I mean, I know that it was supernatural. I'm not worried about it. But anyway, I've been like reared like as a Freemason by God himself since a young age. And I think this might have something to do with that.
Did you say you're a Freemason?
I said I've been raised as one by God himself.
God raised you as a Freemason?
Kid. Huh?
So-
How
did God raise you? Sorry, BrainBug.
No, you're fine.
I mean, I had vision. The worm thing that fits into the Samir, the worm that falls the stone. So I read into that. I was like, what? And then, I had visions my entire life, like of Masonic symbols and things like that. And nobody in my family's Freemason. So, that's it. It's just part of my life.
Masonic symbols. Ooh, that's super interesting. So you get visions of them, like they come into your mind, or?
Yes. I mean, and I've been, it's just been a really big part of my life.
So let's
and nobody in my family is a Freemason, but it's in my soul. It's in my soul. I believe in souls.
So let's jump back for a second so we could just tackle one thing. When did God start raising you, and how do you know it was God?
Okay, when I was, like I said, around 7 or 8, when I started having visions of the Garden of Eden, and we never even went to church or talked about God or anything in my family.
Do you think that, these could have just possibly been visions and not necessarily directly connected to God?
Well, there's more to the story.
Okay.
And then when I became a teenager, it got more intense, like Samir, the worm. And then seeing it, twice in like a 20-year period is really interesting. Okay, but also in 2000, it was just in my soul to erect the ancient monocle, the all-seeing eye, that's in the triangle. I was just
So have you
passionate one night, and
have you researched the Freemasons?
Well, because I've been dealing with this my whole life before I even did any research.
So you had these images in your head. That you just didn't have so you had these images in your head, you just didn't have a name for them, and then you went and looked up about the Freemasons, and that's kind of where you learned what these things were called, because you said some of the names of the symbols and stuff, some of the symbology.
Exactly.
Okay, go on. I didn't want to interrupt. I just wanted to clarify what you were, how you knew the information about the Freemasons that you did know.
Okay. Anyway, I've just had intense visions for years, and I wasn't even raised as a Freemason. Nobody in my family was Freemasons. But in 2000, I was feeling really passionate about everything in the world. And one night I listened to 2 songs by Donna Summer back to back, over and over. I was just so compelled to do it.
So if
And
we
then
could,
I was interacting with the music. And then at one point I created like a glass triangle out of beach sand.
So
And
let's
then,
real quick, Gretchen, because you're throwing a lot out here, and I'd really like to try and just address one thing at a time. Could we jump back?
okay,
Could we jump back to God for a second?
yes.
Okay. How, like, for example, you got these visions, and you believe those visions was God raising you. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
So, for example, I have visions and memories. How do I know that's God and not just my my imagination or my brain creating this for me?
But I mean, nobody in my family were Freemasons. Nobody around me was. Why would I have this inclination? Personally, I wasn't raised that way.
That's
Except for
really
maybe
good
by God
question.
himself.
So how what made you jump to God? Or I should say, what is your confidence level that it is God? Like, if I had to ask you to rate it from 0 to 100%, where are you at on that?
100%.
You're 100% confident that it was God?
100% confident that it's God.
What would it take to convince you that it wasn't God?
Huh?
What would it take to convince you that it wasn't God?
Well, I could never be convinced it wasn't God. If you knew the scope of it, then you'd understand why I'm convinced that it was God or is God.
Did God explain what the worm was to you?
Yes, the worm is Sammer. It's a Masonic worm that polishes stones.
Same.
But I don't know the full reasoning or details of why he did that yet.
How often do you communicate with God?
Every day.
Do you think, like, does he listen to you? Does he engage with you back and forth?
Yes.
Do you think you would be able to ask him if there is anything he can say to you that would convince us that God's directly communicating with you, or could you ask God to reveal himself to, like, myself or BrainBug?
I do suggest this regularly.
Is it easy for you to establish a line of communication with him?
Yes.
So, like, say I asked you to ask him right now to reveal himself to us, would he respond?
I would hope so.
Would you mind asking
I
him?
want him. Okay. Maybe he's just using me to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Can he show us the worm? Can we see it? Is
Yes.
that if you could say, hey, can you make did you say shamer? Can you ask it, see if it'll make shamer appear?
Shamer.
Shamer. This
It's a Kerma. Okay, I mean, I could suggest it, but if he actually did it, that would be up to him.
I mean, yeah, if it'd be possible, because if this was something BrainBug and I could, investigate, that would be great.
Okay, well, that's up to God. I know y'all hear that all the time.
No, and that's fine. You don't have to do it right this second. But if you do, if you do pray to it, or if you just speak directly to. If you do, could you reach out to us
directly? Basically, I don't pray.
Okay. If you ask for it, let us know so we can be on the lookout for this response that'll convince us, because God would know how to convince us. I mean, right? I would assume so, that God would know how to convince us that he was God. Like you seem very convinced. Like you're very convinced that
Yes, very
your
good.
experience was real. I would like that conviction. I would like to have that, cut and dry. This is it, and do away with all doubt about it. I would love to have that
But
visited
what
upon
would be
me.
the purpose of him bringing a ghostly worm to you? What would be the purpose of that?
I mean, because then that would be something that we could actually see and, quite possibly investigate.
Well, maybe I believe that this is going to come into fruition. So I believe that one day you will view the supernatural.
Do you by chance have any photographs of the wound you sustained from the ghostly worm?
Well, I mean, I could take a picture. It's a mole now.
Okay.
It's a mole now. I'll load it up on Facebook later for you.
Are you on my Facebook?
Well, I'm one of the mods in Philip's group.
Oh, on the Atheist and
G.A.
God
Morris.
Believers? Oh,
G.A.
GA.
Morris,
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think
I wish I would have seen that. How are you? I'm sorry.
I am good. That's fine. But I know exactly what God looks like.
Ooh, a description.
Leonard 33 in the constellation Orion is a representation of him. He's a small, red-headed, green-eyed man. And he personally came to visit me in that form in 2003. And he was wearing a black graduation cap and robe.
I mean, I would definitely love to have him. If you could, maybe he could give me one of these ghostly worms. Like, not that I want a worm crawling in my body.
I would like him to do that, but I can't. It's not something I can make him do.
Of course.
It depends on if it's his will or not to do it. But I personally would like that.
Yeah, if you could ask
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love the opportunity to. Well, I don't want a bug crawling inside me. That freaks me out. Hey, if this will get me to a belief in God, or will get God to reveal himself to me, hey, worm me up. Send me a bunch of them.
Well, I will have a long talk with him later about it.
Good.
Actually, I'm having a talk with him about it right now, but whether it's his will or not, I don't know.
Did he have an accent? Is that how you knew he was Irish? What led you to believe that that redhead and green eyes? Sure, those are very Celtic physiological traits. But did he speak with an Irish accent, or did he tell you he was Irish?
Okay, look, God has been bugging me my entire life. I'll put that in a pun way. No offense, Daddy. But in 2003, I was looking at astronomy picture of the day on the computer. I know, it just sounds like a normal day. And the Horsehead Nebula was on there. Bernard 33 in the constellation Orion. And then I noticed, I was just drawn, it looked like the head of a red-headed man under the black horsehead object. Full facial features and red hair. I was like, wow.
I just beautiful nebula.
Okay, and then I walked up and got from the computer. I got up from the computer just to go on about my day. And then he actually visited me in that form. Okay, it's like when I walked away from the computer, it felt like my body opened up and it got all black and starry inside. And then this small red-headed green-eyed man wearing a black graduation cap and robe descended into my body and started communicating with me. He made it clear that he has been the one that's raising me my entire life. And he has a really pretty voice. He sounds like Truman Capote.
Ooh.
He has an effeminate voice. It's really pretty.
Well, I would like to hear that voice one day. That's for sure. I mean, him speaking.
Well, if you listen to Truman Capote talk, yes. Even if you listen to Latham and Gashgar sing, he sounds very similar to that too. He has a really pretty voice.
Awesome.
And he's from the Horsehead Nebula? I mean, that's where you saw him at?
Yes, the Horsehead Nebula is a representation of him. Underneath the black Horsehead object, it looks as though there's a head of a red-headed man with full facial features blowing smoke out of his mouth. Now, I call the black Horsehead object on top of his head, I called it Cobra, and I named it Nog. Like in Ricky Tikki Tavi, like the Cobra's name is N-A-G, Nag. It's kind of funny, like Nag's head, it's pronounced Nog.
Okay.
The brazen serpent.
Okay. Well, again, if you can, when we're done here, if you could reach out to God, send me some worms, or, ask him to reveal himself to me, something that, quite possibly Brian or I could look into, that would be tremendously helpful. And
I would love it if you do that.
Well,
I would love it if you do something like that for you guys.
I'll make.
But I mean, I can't make him do anything.
No, of course.
Sure.
I'll make a commitment to you right now, GA. If he reveals himself to me in a way that I can understand and believe in him, the Atheist channel, I'll rename the Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist to Your Friendly Neighborhood Theist. So
yeah, that would be wonderful.
awesome. Well, GA, I got to move on to our next caller, but I do appreciate you taking the time to call in and share your experiences with us.
Yes, this has been a fantastic conversation. I look forward to hearing more about you. You have more experiences, or you want to go deeper into your experience the next time I'm on. I appreciate it, and I look forward to your call.
Thank you.
Thank you, GA. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Bye-bye. As terrifying as that is, the thought of, a bug crawling inside me, like, that is genuinely scary, BrainBug. But
yes,
hey, if that's what gets me to God, I'm totally open to that. What
you a worm? Yeah.
What do you think is? I'm wondering if it really is a worm there that did, for example, bite her, and maybe I don't know what type of.
Don't think that's likely. There are flies, and that's what you're going to be dealing with if you see a worm crawling out of a person. It's going to be a fly, and that's going to be a larva, basically a maggot. There are a couple of species. The most famously, you have your bot flies, and they're kind of notorious because in situations they can burrow and get into your skull, and it can be bad. Yeah,
I don't want a bot fly, Brian.
No, those as far as wounds, that's kind of a wives' tale. I think the concept of that things crawling out of you, it's kind of a well-established urban legend about you go on a camping trip and you have a knot that swells up and keeps swelling and swelling, it bursts, and there's creepy crawlies squirming out of it, or worms or whatever. Yes, bot flies are terrifying and disgusting, actually.
I don't know that I want one of those, but I guess at the same time, hey, if maybe it is a bot fly that gets me to a belief in God again.
Right. That'd be a kind of a strange way for God to let itself be known through like a celestial parasite. But it's she seemed like she believed what she was saying. I mean, I don't think she was poeing us.
No. I actually I didn't recognize when it said Gretchen, but when she said GA, I was like, oh, I just spoke to her before the show. She's a regular contributor on the Atheist First God Believers page.
Yes. Is that a Facebook group or just a?
Yeah, it's there's a couple Facebook groups I stream to, and it's like atheist versus God believers. I can invite you to them. It's a pretty good chat room. Anyways, I also want to say hi before we get to our next caller. I haven't done this yet. I want to say hi to everyone in the audience. So, Ian, P, what is your name? Is there something else I can call you besides P? IQ, always a pleasure. KCA, Dragons of Genesis, best name. I'm sorry you had to go. I miss you already. Facebook user. If you're still watching this broadcast, there is a link in the thing that says if you want your comments displayed, click here. If you could click that, then we'll see your name and photo. And then also, hi to, I think, is that everyone? Hi. Oh, Kim Cunningham. I miss you too. Thanks for watching. And
can't be the same. Yes. He's actually my co-host. We do every or one Saturday a month is what we've been doing so far. We do a monsters in the Bible kind of as the study with our friend. It's also in the audience there, Dragons in Genesis. So yeah, we talk about monsters and mythology and just have a fun time with it. So yeah.
Well, are you ready for our, by the way, we do still have additional lines open. So if you want to call and share your experiences, it can be anything supernatural or aliens. So I would like to here's our next caller. We've got Trina from Chicago. What's up, dude?
Hi. What's up?
How are you doing?
I don't know how you expect me to follow that call.
Well, I heard you have this special ability, so I asked you to call us and talk about your powers.
Yeah, I could see ghosts. I saw Elvis last week.
And I guess here's what I'm wondering. Before you get into it, did you have this? I've known you for quite a long time. Did you have this ability when I knew you in high school? Or is this something that came?
No, I just came across this a couple weeks. No, it's like a month or two ago.
So
it was just.
This is a new thing. Trina?
What do you mean?
Sorry, did you say 2 to 3 weeks ago?
No, it was like a month or two ago. Like it was not long ago. I mean, this is pretty recent.
All right. So if you could go ahead and describe this new ability you've discovered.
I can feel a person's pain with my hand without physically touching them.
And how did you discover this ability of yours?
Well, my boyfriend was sitting next to me on the couch, and he's got really hairy arms, and I was just kind of floating my hand over his arm, just feeling the hairs. I wasn't touching his skin. And I went up high enough, like over by his elbow, and I felt a lot of heat on my palm of my hand and like a tingling sensation, almost like when your foot falls asleep. And it was very brief. I mean, very, very little, nothing extreme. But it was, heat definitely coming off of him. And I told him about it, and he was like, "Oh, that's really weird because my elbow hurts." And, I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Then I was thinking, okay, why did I feel that? I had Googled, and I had read that it was said that the body will give off heat for inflammation or, as a result of having pain. So I thought, well, maybe that's just what I felt. And then I tried it again on his back and just to try it. I scanned his whole body, but I was over by his back and his lower back, and I could feel the pain again, or the tingling sensation again, and the heat. He was like, "Well, I have pain in my lower back." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Maybe this does work." And I've tried it many times since then on many different family members that hear about this, and they're like, "Wow, that's really freaking crazy. Let's see if this is really worth it, and if you can actually do anything with it in your life." And I'm like, "Okay, no, I'm not going to be like some crazy healer. I can't fix you, but I can maybe detect it." So my son didn't believe me at all. He's a total skeptic. He doesn't believe in anything. And he had my daughter hit him in the arm, and he had long sleeves. It was a long sleeve shirt. And he was like, "I don't want you to see the red mark." And I'm like, "Okay." So they went in the other room, and she hit him, and I scanned him, and I was able to pinpoint the exact spot where she had hit him. And then he was like, wow, maybe you can really do this. And I detected headaches, stomach aches, like indigestion, joint pain, all that kind of stuff. I've even done it on myself, just to test it on myself.
Yeah, I really like, here's the best part, Trina. You and I live close to each other. So I am really hoping when we get together for lunch, we can put together a test scenario, because I'm getting old. I'm feeling my age each and every day. The other day, I actually have footage, an outtake when I was trying to record pre-record a video. I sneezed and I was like, oh, like instantly I felt it in my low back, and I'm like, oh, well, crap, I just told you where my pain was. But I do have.
Well, no, I mean, like,
I botched that.
The more the pain, the better I can feel it.
Okay.
So if it's just like a slight pain, it's not going to be as detectable as something that's more excruciating. If you just tapped yourself, I'm not going to be able to detect it because you physically didn't feel any pain. You actually have to have pain in order for me to feel that. Like when my daughter hit my son, she hit him hard. She was like, I punched him good, Mom. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I think that it actually needs to be painful. I can't just, smack you and it not hurt you and then think I'm going to find it. It doesn't seem to work that way. Trust me, I've tried it.
So, okay. So here's what I think would be best. I will bring, we'll meet for lunch. You know what? I'll bring Fitz. I will bring my buddy Fitz.
Okay.
You know him.
I haven't seen him in so long.
Exactly. It'll be a great catch-up time. Then I can have him, we'll walk away. I'll have him punch me, and we'll see if you can identify where he hit me. Is that accurate of how it would work?
Yeah, it is very accurate. I wouldn't know where he had hit you, so I would have to scan your whole body. And the same way as, you can be wearing a long sleeve shirt, but if you're wearing a coat, things that are heavy and thick, I'm not going to be able to feel the heat through it. So as long as if you don't want me to see any red marks or anything, just cover your skin with some thin cloth or something, because the heat isn't going to radiate through your clothes, through the jacket. It doesn't go that far.
Interesting. Okay, so Brian, there's a possibility that this may not be a supernatural ability, but an entirely natural ability. Like, what if she is more heat sensitive? I don't, I'm not really familiar with how that would work.
I'm being a nerd over here the whole time that you all were talking about experimenting on this. I do have some science.
Oh, good.
I do. I don't know how sound the science is, because humans don't have electroreceptors like what you see, and there are mammals with electroreceptors. Platypuses, for instance, that's why they have the hairless beak. It's not really a beak; it's basically an electroreceptor. Now, we don't have those in our body, so to speak, but does not mean we're not capable of picking up on electromagnetism. And all life has electric current running through it of some degree. As far as injuries and such go, I don't know. It is definitely something you can put to the test, but we do have some evidence to show that animals can pick up on electric frequencies of other animals, and sharks in particular pick up on the wounded or injured fish. A wounded fish is going to put off a different frequency, I suppose, than a healthy fish. So that's where they'll target, or a seal or whatever animal they're hunting. So it's definitely not out of the question for us to detect at some point some subtlety in the human systems to pick up on electrical frequencies, and maybe some people could be better at it than others. There's some old wives' tales, of course, about the iron in your body helping you set your directions when you're walking. Some people have a better sense of direction that they attribute it. And I don't know how founded it is that can be attributed to electroreception and maybe just intuition. instead. But
now, are you talking about, when you say the electro, are you talking about like the actual like tingling that I feel, like when your foot falls asleep, like that kind of feeling?
it could be. I mean, I don't know. I don't
how that happens.
Well, the tingling you feel in your body when your foot goes to sleep, I think that's more related to, well, there could be something related to the electrical currents in your body there, but I think it's more about cutting off, basically cutting off your nerve endings, and then them reconnecting and finding each other, and kind of that's what you're feeling there. And correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody has any more science on that than what I've got here? Most of my stuff I know from being a nerd. I don't just like bugs, I like sharks too. So I read about sharks a lot and kind of know some things about them as well. So interesting though that you're going to be able to actually put this to the test there, Ethan.
I know. Trina, do you think it would be okay if we recorded this, or would you just rather no cameras?
Oh, definitely. You want to video it or something?
Yeah.
Totally.
So here's what I'm thinking. Well, IQ in the comments made a really good point. There should be 3 of us, so we have like a control group set up, and we can test this with all of us, and you'll determine which one of us have been hit, and which one of us haven't. Does that sound like something you'd be up for?
That would work as long as you still felt the pain.
Oh, of course.
Let's pretend person number 3 was the one that was hit. Now, I just scanned all of person number 1's body, all of person number 2's body. By the time I get to person number 3, is that person still going to be feeling the pain from when they got hit?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You actually need to be feeling the pain in order for me to feel it.
Okay, so what about, obviously we're not going to have you look at my back because I already told you my back hurts, but I feel pain in my low spine. Is that the type of thing you would be able to detect?
Do you do like a
as long as it's painful? If you feel pain, then I can feel it. It just has to be painful. You can have a headache and I can feel it. As long as you feel pain, I can feel the pain. If it's something like you stubbed your toe a week ago, I'm not going to be able to feel that. It has to be something you're feeling pain at that exact moment.
Do you just hover your hand over the area, just over you hover your hand over the body and look for and feel for heat? Is that?
I feel for the heat. Yeah, I feel for the heat, and I feel for the tingling sensation.
You're not making any kind of physical contact at all. You're just hovering your hand over them.
No, I do not. Yeah, I do not touch the person at all. Okay. I just come like an inch or 2 above the body, and I just run my hand over it very slowly all over the place. And I can feel differences. So it'll feel a little bit warm. As soon as I feel the heat, that's when the tingling starts. It's not constant. And the more painful the person, the more painful it is, the more heat I feel and the more of a tingling sensation there is. So it's just a stronger feeling.
I am truthfully...
But I definitely don't touch the person. I do not actually touch them.
Okay, so you won't be copping a feel on me or anything.
No, no.
Well, Trina, you and I have to set the date then, so we can get this taken care of, and hopefully in the next few weeks, you and I can both line this up, because this would be really cool.
Sure.
Like, obviously, more than anything else, I'll be excited to see you again. Been one of my longest friends. And for the audience watching, you are an atheist, so everyone knows.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely skeptic, and I want to know why I feel these things. It really shocked me when I found out I was able to do it not once, not twice, but quite a few times, and with very good accuracy. I mean, there's only been not even a handful of times that I've gotten it wrong. And then when I do get it wrong and I say, okay, I feel it here, and the person says, well, there's no pain there, it actually scares me when they say that, because then I'm like, okay, well, what am I feeling? Is there something there that they don't know? Is there a tumor? I don't know what I'm feeling that they don't. And so that kind of scares me, knowing how often I've actually gotten it right. If it was just like a flip of the coin, 50-50 shot, then I'd be like, okay, it's just some weird thing, you know.
Right.
But because I get it right almost all the time, then I'm like, okay, why is this happening? Why can I do this?
And you're open, you're open to the possibility that it's not supernatural and it's just a natural
Oh,
ability.
I don't think it's supernatural to begin with.
Oh,
I
okay.
just think that it's something that I have, more nerve endings in my palms than some people. There's not everybody's going to walk around and try it. Everybody at home could try it themselves. Hit yourself really hard in the leg and run your hand over that spot and see if you feel a heat difference, from your knee to your thigh, and see if it works. That's the only way I could say. But who does that in their free time?
Right.
I just happened to stumble upon this by accident.
Well, I am glad you stumbled upon it, and again, I'm excited to move forward and test this with you.
That's going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm looking forward to catching that as well.
Yeah, and what I'm definitely going to do is, Puck, I'm going to ask him to help me set up these test scenarios because he's probably going to think of everything I don't think of, so we can make this, as good a test as possible. Oh, Robin, check your DMs. You should still call in.
Will do.
Trina, thank you for calling in. It was really nice talking to you.
Before you go, I just want to ask, how long did that mantis stay alive that we were talking about?
Oh, he's still kicking.
Is he?
Still kicking.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's really big, but yeah, he's getting fat.
Yeah. Has he been eating flies?
Yeah, flies, cricket, these worm things, like little, I don't even know what they're called. I got a whole array of bugs. He'll eat like a mix as long as I feed it to him by hand.
All right. Well, that's great. I'm glad it's still alive and still doing good.
Right. Thank you for calling, Trina. And I'll be messaging
no problem.
you after
You guys
this.
have a good night.
You too.
You too.
This is going to be so awesome, Brian. This will be the first time I get to test and investigate. I guess I can't call it a supernatural claim because she's not convinced it's supernatural, but this will be really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, really quite interesting. I'd like to see where things go. I'd like to know what she's detecting. Heat, it's like Dragons in Genesis was saying out there. You hurt your joint or whatever, it gets inflamed. It's warm, but how sensitive a person can be to that. I know I got a hand because I play stringed instruments that I can turn bacon with these fingers. I can't feel nothing through the ends of them. So I wouldn't be feeling any heat with this hand, and this hand might seem more sensitive because of it, but that's subjective.
Yeah. All right, you ready? We have another caller, and I don't want to. Hey, Robin, you are on with Brian and Ethan. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. So I was about to blurt this out, but I don't want to misrepresent you. You are a psychic, or was it medium? Or what specifically do you
I honestly, either term kind of stinks, but I just stick with spiritualist, honestly, because we're all little psychic.
Oh, can you tell me about your ability? Specifically Brian, because I'm a bit familiar with it, but I would like Brian to hear.
Sure. So you're just talking about like how I got into being more spiritual and how that led to like tarot and that kind of thing.
Yes, because you've made predictions before, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Could you tell Brian and our audience a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So at a point when I was much more often meditating and, connecting to, what a spiritualist would call higher self, through time and through practice, I got what I felt to be very connected to things and started doing readings for strangers so I could, hone my ability and I don't know, feel confident in it. And I probably had about 6 or 7 really intense, detailed readings back more years ago, more often than recently anyways. But some of those readings, the one that I shared with Ethan before was, I had just started taking this intuitive tarot class, and I wanted to practice on strangers. So my husband at the time was working at a hospital and got me these 2 girls that were interested in giving it a go. And so I took them both into a room and I pulled some cards, and the 2 very specific different messages that I got for one of the women, it was about a new life coming into her life, and not like a child. I didn't feel a child, but I didn't feel a person, but I felt a new life. I didn't really know what that meant at the time.
Okay.
And then I also very specifically saw her taking a 3-day cruise off the coast of Florida. And then for the other woman, I felt very strongly about her husband, who I felt was on the other side of the world, and pinpointed that. And then also felt like there were some shady things happening and that she was going to be really close with her family in the future. Both of them kind of laughed and were like, this is stupid. And then I get an email, I think it was 6 months or so later, from my then ex-husband saying that these girls were mind blown.
That's that's not relevant. I didn't know you were married at one point, but that's not
for a very brief time. That's a whole nother story. So I get an email about 6 months later saying these girls are mind blown because the first woman, her children bought her a puppy and then a 3-day cruise in the Florida Keys. And then the second woman found out just a couple months later that her husband, who was in, I think it was Japan or South Korea, one of the two, had been cheating on her. As the marriage ended, and her family, who had not been in her life for like a decade previous, came rushing back into her life and supported her during that crazy time. And that was the first tarot experience that I had with 2 complete strangers.
Okay, so questions. I guess that's why you called, so you're okay with that. Does the person have to be with you to be able to do these readings? Could you do a reading like for me over this distance?
Yeah, it can be done from a distance. Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything that you could tell me or Ethan? I mean, if you're more comfortable with that, that would kind of validate what you're claiming.
So at this point, so one of the things about being connected to, being able to feel, sense, hear, see these things is your mental state and your spiritual practice. And I have not been in a good spiritual practice for a while, which is why I haven't read for quite some time. So I don't feel comfortable doing it at this point until I'm back in a peaceful state where I can do that easily.
Okay.
When you're all kind of emotionally messed up, you can't connect as easily.
Yeah.
So is there anything like, I'm trying to think how to word this. Is there anything I can do or anyone can do to help get you like in a more positive headspace where you could do these readings again?
It's about me kind of fixing my own life, honestly. When you're in a nice spiritual practice where you wake up and you meditate for 30 minutes and you're not super stressed out about all sorts of things, then it's much easier to connect. I've been in a stressful point for quite some time, so it's not flowing with me at the moment very well, not for a couple of years, honestly.
Well, it's kind of dormant right now is what I'm gathering. Then at this point in time, it's dormant. You wouldn't be able to utilize the ability.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to connect quite as strongly as I would in a point of peace in my life. Yeah, absolutely.
I when you do get back to this point, one thing I would like to revisit, if possible, is to have you do the. I think you and Jenna Belk and I spoke about this a few months back about getting having you and Sierra do a reading and send it to us. Would you still be open to that when you get your groove?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did, when we talked a few months ago, I did write out a whole bunch of things for you. And that notebook is missing, but I still don't even feel confident about that because of where I was. But once I'm in a better place, I would absolutely love to do that. Yes, totally.
Yeah, that would be really cool if we could. Were you familiar with a few, well, I should say probably about 6 weeks back when I asked a bunch of witches on my Facebook to curse me?
Oh, yes, I remember that very well.
So while I personally do not, believe it, I'll be entirely transparent. My life went to shit the day I did that. And again, though, I think...
Did anybody actually say they were going to do that? Because most witches or, spiritualists would not ask harm or negativity on anybody because it reflects right back on yourself. So I'd be surprised if people would have been willing to do that.
Oh, yeah. One in particular sent me a pretty nasty message and was like, you want to curse? You got it. But here's the good news for those who are watching. I did go out with someone who this is probably maybe a month ago. I'm trying to remember the date specifically, and I was telling her about this, and she is a quote white witch. And I've got a little prop here with me. She gave me this. She did something. Do you know what this is by chance?
Amethyst.
I'm actually only calling and I can't see.
Oh, okay. So she gave me this and did some type of, I don't want to say blessing, or I don't remember what she called it, but she did something over my body. And she was like, I'm going to reach out. I want to know who this witch is so I can talk to her. I'm like, look, I don't need Battle of the Witches going on. I'll just take the positive vibes and I'll be good with that. So I did promise her I would keep this, near me for a little while until things got better. So I have kept it in my car, and so I just brought it in so I could show everyone. But
Can you explain over the phone what it is? Since I can't.
I actually don't know what it is. I feel bad. She gave it to me, and I was like, "Look, yeah, cool. I'll keep it." I have no idea what this is, though.
I think it's amethyst.
Okay. That looks like, so it's some type of crystal that's wrapped up. Is it purple? What color is
Purple, yes.
Okay, so it's probably amethyst, which in the spiritual world, when you look into different stones and crystals and things, they all have different vibrational frequencies and different things that they do. And I think that the amethyst tends to transmute negative energy into positive. So that's probably why she gave it to you.
And then she also recommended I burn sage, but I can't.
Yep.
While I'm open to those things, I don't know. If someone wants to burn sage for me, awesome.
Yeah.
But don't you have to cleanse your space to burn sage, right? Don't you gotta burn it in around where you're gonna be? So you're saying someone can come to your house and burn sage in your...
Robin, what are the rules of engagement when it comes to sage? Can someone do that for me, or does it have to be me doing it?
So if you're doing sage in your space, then it's going to help cleanse out the energetic realm of that area. If someone's doing sage for you in their space, it's more of their intention and their energies that they're sending to you more than anything. Personally, I don't think it has as much of an effect on your space.
Okay.
But energy is transmuted through space and time without a question. So it's a hard one to answer. I would think it's more powerful in person, but anybody giving you positivity from a distance is going to affect you positively.
Brian, did you have any other questions for Robin?
Well, just about that what she just said there is that's kind of an interesting perspective on things, which is what we're doing here, the perspective. So anybody doing positive work for you affects you. Like, do they have to actually be like a magical practitioner, or just anybody and everybody sending positive energy your way? Is that kind of what I'm getting?
Yeah, just like if you guys have talked about Reiki at all, which is energy healing, you can do that in person very effectively, but you can also do it from a distance very effectively. That's just about connecting with the other person and trying to invest that positive energy into their space.
Okay. There's ways we could, I guess, independently test things like that as well. So it affects when you send somebody the positive energy, you say Reiki energy.
Yeah, Reiki.
What is it having an effect on, like, the probability around them of things going favorably for them, or just is it affecting them directly? What is the energy doing, essentially? What is the effect of the energy?
My perspective on it is that it influences the energy of the individual. And I don't know, have you guys ever talked about the laws of attraction before?
Oh,
No,
go ahead. Well, yeah, sounds interesting.
Okay, so it's the laws of attraction tie into this. So it's, and this is just a psychological thing too, not necessarily spiritual. If you have a negative mindset, then your perspective shifts to seeing more negative things, and you feel like there's more negativity. If you're inputting energy into somebody else that is positive, it can help affect the different thoughts that they have to be more positive, so that things seem more positive because they have more of a focus on those positive things. As well as if you are in tune to the feeling of vibrations and whatnot, you can actually feel when someone is putting, like, you know what, okay, I'm going to try this right now just for funsies. So right now I am sending you, Ethan, some really positive vibes.
please,
And
I need them.
if you're sitting in some silence, just feel your body. And if you feel a little bit of tingling right now in your hands, or you feel a little bit of tingling in your chest, or you feel like it's hard to explain if you haven't like dealt with energy much or tried to identify it. But if you feel right now, I am shooting some serious positive vibes around you. Do you feel anything?
No. Should I?
It's all right.
I'm sorry. Robin?
I'm still sending good vibes. And so if you take time in silence when you're not maybe running a show and you ask me or someone else to do this, you might actually feel a shift within yourself. It almost feels like you have magnets or something. Like, I don't, it's hard to describe, but there's times that you'll be able to actually physically feel those vibrations, whether positive or negative. So sometime when you're not on a show, give me a call and we can play around, and I'll send you some good vibes or send you some bad vibes and see if you actually feel it in those moments that you're not distracted by anything else.
That's
good way to
a great idea. I would love to do that, Robin. That would be a good opportunity to test and see if I can feel them. We should try and maybe this week's a little bit busy, but next week we should totally do this.
Yeah. Awesome. And then another thing that you can do on your own, and anyone can do, I think we talked about this during our last conversation, is if you have different plants, take 3 different plants, put them in a similar space, and focus on each one with a different energy. Focus on one with love, focus on one with hate and anger and disgust, and then ignore the other one. Okay. And you can see how it affects the plants individually. And even though that's not a person, it at least shows the effect of your thoughts and your feelings on a living object right in front of your face.
Well, I'm excited to do this. We have one more caller, so we have to wrap this up. But Brian, did you have any last
No,
questions?
I'm just laughing about how you're the guinea pig for all of this stuff.
I'm-
It's going to be.
You know, I throw my feet to the fire, man. Like, again, you know, I am open to being wrong here and people having legitimate abilities. So I'm totally down. I'll be the guinea pig for all of this.
If you want to make a voodoo doll of Ethan, give us a call at.
I don't do the bad vibes, but maybe you'll find that bad witch to do that for you. And it's been a pleasure talking. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin. And I
Thanks,
hope you have a
Robin.
good day.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you soon. All right. Hopefully, we'll keep getting people from the hopefully Chicago area, and we'll be able to, anyone who makes these claims, we'll put them up like for a weekend. I'll bring everyone out and we'll just try and knock them all out at once.
Do like and then from there you go on and of course do the James Randi challenge where you can win the money by proving something supernatural's happened. I would love to participate in some kind of endeavor of that nature.
All right, are you ready for our last caller?
Yeah, let's have it.
We have Dragons in Genesis. How's it going?
It's going. How's it going with you?
Doing well, man. How you been?
I'm good. 2020 has actually been surprisingly good for me, which has kind of given me like a weird sense of survivor's guilt because everyone I know is having like a really crap year, and I kind of feel guilty about that. But no, life is good for me. So
good. What do you got for us?
So I have a special ability.
Ooh.
I can always get someone the perfect Christmas, birthday, or anniversary.
Huh.
It's always exactly what they want, even if they don't realize that is what they wanted.
I am holding you to that. Can you get me the perfect gift?
It would require about an hour of work, but I can actually do something better than buying you the perfect gift.
What's that?
I can teach you how to use this ability, because this is something you can do.
That would be great because I am terrible, like absolutely terrible at getting birthday gifts and Christmas gifts.
Oh yeah, see, I'm horrible at it too, unless I use this trick, okay? Because I always get the wrong thing. But I developed this trick, I don't know, about 15 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. And everyone says that I always buy them the absolute best gifts. And they're like, how did you know that I needed this?
All right,
and
so
it's actually very easy. Here's what you do. You sit down with somebody, and you're just having a conversation with them, okay?
Right.
And during the conversation, you say, hey, man, what do you want for your birthday? And they always say, I don't know, just get me whatever. And that's because they're not thinking about it. They don't know what they want.
Right.
So you pressure them a little bit. Say, oh, come on, I need some help here because I'm really bad at this. Do you want something that's, like some kind of experience, like concert tickets? Do you want something that's useful? Well, what is it that you want, And just kind of coax them a little bit. And they're going to say, I don't know. And so you push them just one more time to just really plant it in their minds that you want them to tell you. And they're going to say, I don't know. That's when you change the subject and you start talking about something else entirely. In about 10 or 15 minutes, they will randomly start talking about something that they want to buy, something they want to do, something they want to see. And that's what you buy them.
All right. Well,
it always works. What I've done this, I don't know, with my girlfriend for like 12 years in a row. I always give her the best gifts. And she's like, how did you know I wanted this? And I'm like, you kind of told me. And she's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, yeah, I tricked you into telling me again. And yeah, now it's to the point where I have to be really subtle about it because she's kind of on the lookout for it.
Right.
But I've taught some of my friends, like one of my buddies, he's always like picking out the wrong thing for his wife. And I'm like, dude, you can get her to tell you. And he's like, no, she never tells me. I'm like, no. You have to trick her into telling you. And I teach him the trick. And all of a sudden he's like, dude, it worked. And so now he does the same thing. And I'm like, don't tell her about the trick. Okay. So it's less effective if they know that you're trying to do this to them. But yeah, do that. All you do is you push them into thinking about what they want and then back off and let their subconscious go for a little bit. And then 10 or 15 minutes later, some part of their brain will come up with an answer, something that they want. And all you have to do is keep your ears open and they will literally tell you. And all of a sudden, you look like the coolest person on earth because you always get someone the best gifts. And half the time, they have no idea that they even told you.
Well, thank you.
That sounds promising. Very promising psychological technique to convince someone to open up and give you information they didn't even intend to. That's brilliant.
Awesome. Well, Dragons.
Yeah, and I think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I think something similar to that may have happened with that last caller. She did a tarot reading for a woman and told her, you're going to take a 3-day Florida cruise. Months later, her family buys her a 3-day Florida cruise. If you tell someone about a vacation that they're going to take and it's appealing to them, there's a good chance they're going to start talking about it, even if they don't realize they're talking about it. And if their family is attentive, even if one member of the family is attentive, they'll say, hey, mom's been talking about this Florida cruise for the last 3 months. Why don't we get her a Florida cruise? And the woman may not have even known that she was broadcasting what she wanted. And so by doing the tarot reading, she may have implanted the idea of the Florida cruise, and then the person who got the reading tells people about it unwittingly, and then someone was attentive enough to pick up on it. They got the family together, they all chipped in, they buy the Florida cruise, and self-fulfilling prophecy.
All right. Well, I'll definitely consider that trick for the future. I do appreciate you calling in and sharing that.
Yeah. Just like I said, tell people how to use it, but don't tell people that you're using it on them. And you can always be the best gift giver.
Well, thank you. I will definitely
Dragon.
take your advice. I appreciate you calling in. And I don't know if you're going to watch the debate tonight, but I am. I'm actually thinking about streaming it live in a few minutes and, having people on to talk about it.
Who are you debating?
Oh, sorry. The presidential debate.
Oh.
The one happening in
I
20
had no
minutes
idea that was even going on.
between
I
Dumb and
basically
Dumber.
live under a rock. So.
Dumb and Dumber. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Awesome. Well, again, thanks for calling in. We got to wrap up here, but stay safe out there and healthy.
Thanks, Dragons and Genesis.
I'll take it easy, and
too.
I will check y'all next time.
All right. Have a good one, man.
See you soon.
Yeah, so I won't be streaming this to my YouTube. It's going to be Facebook only because there's some weird rules about like restreaming other things. But I believe Jenna and I have been talking. We might be doing this together. I'll find out when I get off the broadcast. But if you are on my Facebook, it's going to be a Facebook only stream. And then I would like to talk about a couple things I got going on tomorrow. I'm not hosting, sorry. My platform is hosting the first ever atheist LGBTQIA plus roundtable, and it will be hosted by V La Bianca, and our guests will be the Dishonest Ape, Junk Shop Library, and Jen's Little Corner. And then tomorrow on my also on my other channel, youtube.com/YFNA News, I have 2 Republicans coming on, and I'll be interviewing them and asking why they support Donald Trump, and that will be in black and white. One is a Christian Republican, and the other is, wait for it, an atheist Republican. I found the leprechaun. So, yeah, that's going on tomorrow at 5 p.m. BrainBug, what do you have going on?
Thursday I'll probably be. Things are going to be political for the next. Both of us, I guess, are going to have some political stuff coming up here for the next few weeks, up until the election. But Thursday, I'll probably be on Math Picks channel, where we do a open mic night, and the topic is actually going to be about the debate. So I do need to catch that. I also wanted to update people that we had scheduled for an episode of We Have the Science with Erica from Get Sick Gibbons for tomorrow. And that's actually been pushed back, so that should be next week. We'll get a time and date ironed out for that. I have Monsters in the Bible coming up again on the 10th. You'll see me there. I've got Santi the Sane and Dragons in Genesis, and we will have a special guest that I'll be announcing here in the next week or so. It's exciting for me, so we'll have a special guest for that. And other than that, I got my October stuff coming up. I'll share my October video out in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see where we go from there.
Sweet. Well, as always, BrainBug, it is a genuine pleasure to get to co-host the show with you, which we do together every other week. So Brian will be back 2 weeks from today. Next week, I'm actually still working on a special guest, so I cannot announce that just yet, but we'll see who's going to be here. Everyone who called in, thank you for taking the time to share your experiences with us. It's always nice to hear other perspectives and stories. I'm hoping one of these days we do get someone calling on behalf of aliens, or a belief in aliens. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Anyways, make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you to my patrons, Cindy PLAZA, Trina Deluca, Kenneth, Leonard, Kathy Letto, Ian Davenport, Bestname Ever, Blazing Wizard Pope. You are awesome. BrainBug's links for his channel are in the description. Make sure you check them out, and I hope everyone enjoys the worst presidential debate we're ever going to see, coming up in about 17 minutes. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, be safe out there and have a good night, everyone.